and welcome to the second edition of Arcview Explorers, where we take you, the audience, behind the scenes of some of the most well-known cannabis companies. I'm Sarah Falvo, Manager of Member Experience here at the Arcview Group. Arcview is the oldest and largest investor network in the cannabis industry, investing hundreds of millions of dollars into numerous companies over the years. In addition to the Arcview Group, we also have a number of other holdings under our umbrella, including our market research arm in partnership with BDSA, Arcview Capital, which is a FINRA licensed broker-dealer, and Arcview Ventures, which is our collective fund. There's definitely something for everyone, and we're glad you've joined us today. In this program, we're taking a trip over to Colorado to do a deep dive with 1906, which is one of the most innovative brands in cannabis edibles, creating groundbreaking functional formulations of cannabis and plant medicine. The 1906 lineup delivers 6 unique experiences that promote sleep, energy, arousal, relaxation, cognitive focus, and a happy mood. All of these products utilize consistently fast-acting formulations with single-strain organic cannabis. CEO and co-founder Peter Barsoom will take us behind the scenes to show us how the magic happens, and he will also participate in an interactive Q&A at the end. Make sure to drop any questions into the Q&A tab at the bottom of your screen throughout the program, and we'll try to get to as many as possible. And with that, I'd love to launch an exclusive video that will tell us the history about 1906. Let's take a look.
Hi, I'm Peter Barsoom, co-founder and CEO of 1906. Welcome to our state-of-the-art production facility here in Colorado. Before we go out on a tour of our production floor, I want to give you a little bit of the history behind 1906 and how and why we're considered one of the most innovative brands in cannabis today. 1906 gets its name from the last time cannabis was nationally accepted as a widely used beneficial medicine the year before it was prohibited. We have this saying in the company that cannabis is the greatest medicine on earth, and we're on a mission to reestablish it as a trusted, normal part of daily wellness. Since cannabis was illegal for more than 100 years, there's been little innovation in how it's produced, consumed, or marketed. Consumer needs have evolved, and so has the science and medicine behind cannabis, and that's where 1906 fits in. High-functioning adults, people like you and I, are looking for better alternatives to alcohol and big pharma to help them sleep better, manage pain and anxiety, and connect more intimately with themselves and their partners, for instance. For us, it's not about getting high, it's about helping you do all the life stuff better. We believe that low-dose, fast-acting cannabis, which delivers a specific effect, can help millions of people feel better every day. That's why I left finance and started 1906 5 years ago. My path to cannabis began when I was 21, and I was diagnosed with ADD. Like millions of others, I was prescribed Ritalin and Adderall, and while it helped me focus, it really had a lot of adverse side effects that I hated. And although I tried cannabis when I was an adult, it never really worked for me. I always felt anxious, didn't like the way I smelled when I smoked, and it just wasn't pleasurable. In the last few years, however, I discovered low-dose cannabis, and particularly cannabis when paired with CBD gave me that feeling that I was always looking for, an all-natural feeling of being a little bit more normal, but not feeling high. And so that's why we started 1906, is because we believe that low-dose cannabis, particularly combined with CBD and particularly combined with other plant medicines, can really work better than what's in my medicine cabinet today. I was also at a point in my career where I wanted to do something to create a positive impact for a lot of people. And I saw cannabis, specifically a new kind of cannabis products, and other plant medicines as a way to do this. You've got this plant that has incredible versatile powers, but it's in desperate need of an overhaul. Now, for cannabis to be a potential alternative to alcohol and big pharma, and meet the needs of a large and growing segment of adults, particularly women and seniors, we came up with 5 non-negotiables that need to be in all of our products. 1, they have to deliver distinct effects, because it's not about getting high, it's about feeling a particular way. 2nd, they need to kick in within 20 minutes, not 2 hours. 3rd, needs to be low dose so that users feel in control. 4th, it has to be appealing and light up your senses, because it is about pleasure. And 5th, it has to be accessible to someone who's previously been intimidated or scared of trying cannabis. Now, those are 5 pretty lofty goals. And when we first started the company, people told us that we were crazy, that we couldn't accomplish all of that. We started in 2015 and spent 2 years literally in the lab working on new formulations, working on combinations of cannabis with other plant medicines, working on getting the fast-acting piece right. And finally, in 2017, we launched our products into the market. And we've had an amazing response from consumers. People who tell us every day that midnight works to give them the best quality of sleep that they've never had, that they're taking Genius instead of their Adderall or Ritalin and able to stay focused, that they're having the best sex of their life today on Love. Getting these stories, these testimonials that we get every day, has really been the highlight of my professional career and the reason why I started 1906. Now, come and join me on this tour and let's take a look behind the scenes of how all the science and magic behind 1906 happens. So we're starting off in the 1906 showroom, and now we're going to go into the lab where all the science behind 1906 starts. Here in the lab is where we do 3 things. All of our R&D work gets done here. Second, our fast-acting technology. And then third, our formulations of cannabis and other plant medicines. Natasha, who's our head of R&D, is currently creating one of our next batches today. So she's using our lipid microencapsulation technology, which is the only scientifically proven fast-acting technology in cannabis today. And that's what allows you to start to feel the effects within 20 minutes. Maggie and Stephen are preparing one of our formulations for our drops experience. So they're combining cannabis with our other plant medicines before it goes out onto the production floor. So we're going to go out onto the production floor where today we're making peanut butter cups, which is my favorite product. And I wish you could smell how good the factory is smelling right now. Our chocolate covered coffee beans and our drops. So come join me. So today we're making peanut butter cups. After the infusions and formulations are prepared in the lab, it's then brought out here onto the production floor, mixed in with chocolates in our chocolate tanks, and then we triple test it before we actually produce our chocolates to ensure that it's 100% accurate and consistent. This is a state-of-the-art chocolate depositing system that no other cannabis company in the country has today. It starts with molds that are coming down here. They're heated up to a precise temperature, and then chocolate flows through to form the shell of the peanut butter cup. So in the shell is where all of the cannabis and all of the active ingredients are. It then goes through, and the shell is formed with a super cooled head to give it the precise thickness, because the shell is where all the cannabis and all of the plant medicines are formed. It then goes through and flows into a cooling cabinet, and then we deposit the peanut butter again, and then finally it's capped at the end with another layer of chocolate, and the 1906 stamp is stamped on the top. This is where we make our chocolate-covered coffee beans. Our Go and Love coffee beans are 2 of the most successful products in Colorado. And first it starts with getting the highest quality coffee beans. We source our beans from Kenya. It's a very particular type of bean called peaberry beans. We then have it roasted by a local roaster here in Denver to our specific roast curve because we want to get the flavor exactly right. So after the beans come to us, we then sort them to ensure that each and every bean is of homogeneous size, because every single coffee bean has to deliver exactly 5 milligrams of THC and 5 milligrams of CBD. So all of the beans have to be uniform. The next step is what we call the panning process. And beans are added into the panning machine, and then chocolate is slowly added in over a period of a couple hours to ensure a uniform buildup of chocolate on the coffee beans. So after the beans are coated with chocolate and they're of perfect size, it then goes through 2 other processes. The next step is polishing the beans. And then the third and final step is the glazing process, which Angel here is applying a shellac to the beans, which gives it a perfect coat and a perfect shine. I want to show you one of our coolest innovations, which is our laser station. One of the requirements here in Colorado is that every single product needs to be marked with a THC symbol. We are the only company that's developed this unique laser system in order to literally etch the THC symbol on every single coffee bean. So in 45 seconds, it can mark 63 beans. On one side, the THC symbol, and on the other side, 1906. Here's our packaging station for our chocolate-covered coffee beans, and we've taken what is a pharmaceutical-grade tablet counter and adapted it for our chocolate-covered coffee beans. So the coffee beans are loaded up into a hopper, and this system automatically counts out exactly 20 coffee beans, which are deposited into each of our tins, and then a top is applied to the tin. This is our tablet press, and to show you a little bit of how the tableting process works, the infusions, which were prepared in the lab, are put into the hopper, and this is what Stephen is doing right now today. Then, as the powder flows through, the tablets are pressed, and each and every tablet is measured by compressionability and size and weight to ensure 100% accuracy, so that each and every tablet that comes out meets our exact specification standards here today. After the drops are produced on the tablet press, they're then coated, and then once they're coated, they're deposited into a hopper. This system, which was specifically designed for 1906, so each tin is loaded up here. We've got an automated conveyor belt. This system counts out exactly 20 or 30 drops, depending upon which product it is, automatically fills each tin. It's check weighted to ensure that there's exactly 20 or 30 drops in that. And then we have a manual step in addition to that to ensure 100% accuracy. We also apply a cellophane sleeve so that the consumers know that it's tamper resistant as well. So even though Colorado law doesn't require that, we go that extra step to ensure consumer safety. So thank you all Arcview members for joining us for behind the scenes tour of 1906. And thanks to Louis and the entire Arcview team for giving us an opportunity to show you a glimpse of what's behind one of the most innovative cannabis companies in the US. And if you ever do come through Colorado, we welcome you to come join us live and actually see where the magic and the science happens. And if you don't come through Colorado, you can always follow us on Instagram at 1906 New Highs and go to our website, 1906newhighs.com, for more information. Thank you.
Well, that was such a great video, and I just want to let everyone know out in the audience that you are the first ones to view that exclusive video outside of our internal team in 1906. So Peter, thank you so much for providing all of that, and it was just so great to see everything behind the scenes. You know, the fact that each coffee bean is engraved twice is absolutely amazing and really blows my mind. And I think as a consumer, sometimes we take for granted all of the thoughtful work that goes into the end product. So we really appreciate that. And with that said, we're going to start the Q&A portion with Peter. And don't forget, if you have questions, drop them into the Q&A box. So let's get started with this. So Peter, tell me, what is 1906's most popular product?
Our most popular product is Midnight, which is our sleep product. So one of the number two reasons why people walk into a dispensary is not to get high, it's to help get a better night of sleep. Our Midnight product is formulated with a plant from a traditional Chinese medicine called Corydalis, which is one of the best sleep aids available to us. It provides a healthy, natural, non-groggy, non-habit-forming alternative to Ambien and other products. We've literally sold over 500,000 units of Midnight, and it's been our #1 product because sleep is a major epidemic in this country. Over 1/3 of Americans have trouble sleeping. It is a multi-billion-dollar market, and for most people, Ambien just doesn't work well, either because they don't really get a full night of sleep, or it's habit-forming, or So midnight, available both in chocolate as well as in our drops format, is our most popular product. And it just goes to show you again that most people are walking into a dispensary not to get high, but just to feel better.
Absolutely, and just having those alternatives for everybody is so important in this world.
Yeah.
All right, our next one. What is 1906's expansion strategy and which states will you be launching in the future? Please say California.
Well, California is not on our roadmap yet. So we've spent the last 3 years here in Colorado. We've become the fastest growing brand in Colorado since we launched in 2017. And we've really cracked the code in what is one of the most competitive markets in the country. Based upon the success that we've had here in both product as well as in marketing, we're now expanding out to limited license, adult use, and medical markets east of the Rockies. Our goal is to become the #1 brand east of the Rockies. Our first state that we're going to be launching in a couple of weeks is Oklahoma, followed by Massachusetts, Maryland, and a few other states. And given the success that we've had with our drops line, which are pharma-grade, fast-acting, swallowable pills, we're going to be initially launching with the drops line across our 6 different experiences, and then expanding the product line into chocolates thereafter. So here in Colorado, we started with chocolates, launched drops in December, which has become our most successful product line. And as we expand into these other markets, it's going to be drops first, followed by chocolates.
That's great. And tell me a little bit, because historically you guys have been known as a chocolate company. So why did you expand into the drops? Tell us a little bit, how you got to that point.
Yeah, great question. When we started the company, Sarah, our intent was always it starts with the question of how is it you want to feel? And then secondly, how is it you want to consume? We started with chocolates because chocolates are the most pleasurable flavor or product among most consumers, and we wanted to show that you can have it all, that you can have great taste, that you can have great effect, and so chocolates made sense as the first place to start. Now, it was always bizarre to me that one of the most popular ways of consuming cannabis was gummies. If we call cannabis as medicine, it was surprising that in a traditional medicine format, which are pills, cannabis wasn't widely available or used. And so we spent years of R&D to develop our fast-acting pharma-grade pills line, because that's the way in which consumers traditionally think of medicine. And as a society, we filled 4.5 billion prescriptions literally a year. So we launched our drops, which is our pill line, in December. It's taken off wildly here in Colorado. It's now over 50% of our revenue. We're in hundreds of stores here. And what we found also is that not only are they popular because they're vegan, they're gluten-free, they're discreet, they're portable, but also that for many consumers, a pill is something understandable and destigmatizes cannabis consumption. So one of the things that we're always working on is how do we make cannabis more and more accessible to the mass population? It's not about the young consumer, stoner, traditional consumer. It's about expanding into this large and growing segment of high-functioning adults, particularly women and seniors. And our fast-acting pharma-grade swallowable pills have really hit a chord with that large and growing segment of adult consumers.
I think that's great. And being flexible in your form factors is just going to be able to get, cannabis into more people's hands over the years. And so I love that you're being flexible with that as well.
Yeah.
So, of course, we have to ask this question. It is Arcview, and we have a number of investor members on the call, but are you raising capital? And if so, or I guess the second question, how much have you raised to date at 1906?
We are raising capital to fund our expansion plans. To date, we've raised over $22 million. I first pitched Arcview back in November of 2015, so I'm really excited to have a number of Arcview members from Alain Benquier and Cliff Watmore, to name just two of our investors who've been with us literally over the last 4 years. So we are raising capital. If you're interested in learning more, please feel free to email me directly, and we're happy to share information about our current capital raise. We are just about cash flow positive. We will be cash flow positive in Q3 of this year. So that additional capital is going to help continue to fund our expansion efforts into our East Coast markets and help ensure and propel us to be the #1 brand east of the Rockies.
That's super exciting. So one of our listeners wants to know about the first experience of trying to get your products onto the shelf in a dispensary. How was that? How did it go? Do you have any, harrowing tales from those times?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, it was harrowing. The first one was actually not that harrowing because we first launched with The Farm here in Boulder, Colorado, which is one of the best dispensaries in the country. And we partnered with them because we were, in fact, using their oil. They're one of the highest quality cannabis cultivators. So we were able to get onto The Farm shelves day one when we launched. Getting onto other shelves was a challenge because the myth at the time, and I think much of this mythology has thankfully been broken, is that the consumers, all they want is high dose, cheap weed, that they don't care about specific effects. They just want to get the biggest bang for the buck. We believed, and it's been proven true, that is not the typical consumer. That is a segment of the market, but the typical consumer, particularly the 1906 consumer, cares about quality, that doesn't want to lose control, that they want fast acting, and they're willing to pay a premium for that. So we persevered particularly over the first year and a half, to win over bud tenders, to win over consumers, which was the easiest part. Winning over the bud tenders was actually the hard part. And now we've become the fastest growing brand in Colorado. We are the most loved brand among bud tenders here in Colorado. And we're taking that playbook of success of how to get on the shelf and how to drive consumer adoption to these other markets where we believe, again, we'll be the #1 brand east of the Rockies.
Fantastic. So we have another question. What kind of extract do you use for your products, and do you manufacture it internally or do you get it outside?
Oh, great question. So we have contracts with the highest quality cannabis cultivators here in Colorado that grow single strain, pesticide-free, organic cannabis, particularly for us. One of the things among the many that makes us unique is the fact that each one of our experiences is a particular strain of cannabis. And in order to aid the consumer and to provide additional transparency, we literally print the name of the strain onto the packaging, onto the dynamic label itself, so a consumer can look at it and say, okay, this was produced with this specific strain of cannabis. We don't use distillate. We use high quality CO2 single strain oil. Now, that is the cannabis part. The other part of what makes our experiences unique are the other plant medicines that deliver that specific effect. So whether it be Go, which has 4 different stimulating plants like caffeine, L-theanine, theobromine, and Alpinia galanga, that gives you the highest quality clean energy experience, to Love, which has 5 different aphrodisiacs from across the world that work for both men and women, to Chill, which has Magnolia, which is one of the best anxiolytics known to man today. But what makes us unique are those combinations of cannabis, single strain, high quality CO2 extracted cannabis, along with these other plant medicines.
And that's the best way to do it, using all different types of plants. They all come from the ground. There is a common denominator with all of that.
Yeah. That's the way medicine used to be practiced, in fact, right? And still in large part is today, although it has more of a pharmaceutical aspect, that often doctors will give you multiple prescriptions because they have to counteract some of the side effects of one pharmaceutical with another, for instance. And so we look at it when we try and take the best that nature has to offer, utilizing the science and all the clinical research that's been done on dietary supplements and nutraceuticals, and combining that science along with the plant medicines to deliver what is a superior consumer desirable effect.
That's great. We have another question. How has COVID affected your business?
We're thankful first and foremost that Colorado and cannabis in Colorado was deemed essential. We have navigated through the challenging times over the last couple months. We did see in April and May a decline in our business, and that was due to number one, tourists leaving Colorado, because tourists are a big part of the Colorado market. But also the quarantine inhibited people going out. And unfortunately, unlike other states like California, where delivery was permissible, delivery is still not available in Colorado until next year. June was one of our best months ever, so we're back up to about 90% off of our peak. In July, right now we're trending for it to be the best month ever. So what COVID taught us, number one, is how to be nimble, how to be asset light, and react to the requirements of the economic conditions. Number two is that we launched a Friends in Weed program in coalition with other brands here in the Colorado market, like Cookies, Veritas, and Oleo, where we contributed a portion of every single product sold to budtenders in the form of gift cards purchased from local restaurants. So that was our way of giving back to both budtenders as well as to the service industry that was devastated here in Colorado. Third, it also showed us how important cannabis is and how much people need cannabis to help them manage daily life. Yesterday, I received a phone call from a female CEO of a large media company who said, Peter, can you help? I don't want to be consuming alcohol, and I know as soon as I start consuming alcohol every day, I'm done. Where can I buy your chill product, for instance? So it confirmed to us how important cannabis is in the consumer toolkit and medicine cabinet. And the last thing I'll note is just a few years ago, cannabis was still illegal in most of the country. So to go from a place where cannabis was illegal to where it was deemed essential next to pharmaceuticals is an amazing transformation that this country has gone through. And I think that particularly as state budgets become incredibly constrained by the economic impact of COVID, they're going to be looking for additional sources of revenue and also reacting to consumer demand. So we are positioned for expansion. We're launching, like I said, Oklahoma in a couple of weeks, followed by Massachusetts and Maryland. And we're ready to deliver to consumers what it is that they need, which is 1906 drops.
That's fantastic. And lucky them. Lucky Oklahoma. Lots of things going on in that state right now. The next question is your Nano Encapsulation technology proprietary? That was a mouthful.
So we utilize a lipid microencapsulation technology. It is proprietary. We have one of the exclusive licenses for a patented technology from a Canadian biosciences company. As I mentioned in the video, this is the only scientifically proven fast-acting technology for delivering cannabinoids in a fast-acting way. We've conducted 4 scientific studies: a intestinal permeability study, a double-blind observational study with over 60 consumers to assess onset time. We did a pharmacokinetic study to scientifically prove the higher bioavailability and faster onset time, and an animal study that proves out the faster onset time and the higher bioavailability. No other cannabis company in the world has the science behind fast-acting technology like we do. And it's proven in the fact that we have hundreds of thousands of consumers that utilize 1906 every single day.
Fantastic. So the next question is, how many peanut butter cups, tablets, and beans are you able to produce a day? What is the maximum output if all the gears are running on high?
Yeah, we can produce 20,000 tablets an hour, and we can produce about 20,000 chocolates a day in our current facility. Now, that's on shift. So we, as we scale up, we can run multiple shifts in order to produce more on top of that. So right now, we're not yet operating at full capacity, and so there's room for growth.
Great. And how hard was it to find space in Colorado when you were starting to launch this? And I guess the whole process and things like that. How was that for you specifically?
Yeah. We were very fortunate. When we entered the market in early 2015, we had heard harrowing stories of how difficult it was to find real estate and places to operate in. We were fortunate that where we're located here in Colorado, which is Commerce City, had just opened up its jurisdiction to cannabis, and we were one of the first cannabis companies to establish ourselves here in Commerce City. So it worked out well that we were able to find real estate relatively quickly and avoided some of the harrowing stories that other people went through.
That's great. And look, we get to enjoy the fruit of your labor, so we appreciate that. Do you mind just going over, Peter? Yeah.
We're only 15 minutes from the airport, so we're easily accessible for anybody who wants to, who's coming and flying through Denver. We welcome you to come out to our facility and see where the science and magic happens. I mean, one of the things that we love to do, Sarah, is host tours. We have hosted probably over 3,000 people who've come through our facility. We believe in a high degree of transparency. We've hosted chiefs of staff to the governors. We've hosted legislators from across the world who've come here to look and see what does a high quality cannabis operation look like. And we welcome all of you to come join us to see it firsthand.
That's awesome. Well, you're my first visit when I am able to get on a plane and travel and the world opens up a little bit more. Just a couple more questions and then we'll wrap things up. But Peter, can you kind of walk us through the dosing of each of your products and also kind of the range of what you offer in terms of milligrams?
Yeah, absolutely. In Colorado, the maximum potency is 10 milligrams. And when we first came into the market, we said, look, that's way too high. For most people, that is beyond what is calls for a normal effect. And what we found is that bud tenders, unfortunately, that's what they were recommending to everybody. Well, 10 milligrams, that's the standard, and bite it in half. That's an unacceptable answer to bite it in half. So when we launched, we said, the maximum that we're going to do is 5 milligrams for the adult use market. We don't make anything above 5 milligrams for the adult use market because that gives you control. And when we launched our drops, one of the things that we got a lot of feedback on, particularly from women, is that they wanted a lower dose alternative. So we launched our Love product in a 2.5 milligram pill. And Genius, which is our latest experience for cognitive focus, is also 2.5 milligrams because for most people, 2.5 milligrams is perfect in order to promote cognitive focus. And we have a common saying here, which is you can always take one more, you can never take one less. So 5 milligrams is the max. We also have our 1 milligram coffee beans, which we call the mommy dose, which has got a lot of popularity here in Colorado among moms here as well. From a dosing perspective, there is no other company that takes the science and the dosage and the consistency more seriously than we do. We triple test each and every batch before it's actually produced. And it starts with our infusions, so our lipid microencapsulation fast-acting infusions. We test that to ensure that the base infusion and the formulation is exactly within our potency requirements. We then produce a sample before we produce, and then we do a third test at the time of production. While Colorado allows a 15% variance with respect to potency, our acceptable standards are less than 5%. And so the consumer always knows that whenever I take a 1906 product, it's always going to be the right dose. And not just that, it's going to deliver the right effect. Because as we said from the beginning, what consumers are looking for is not about getting high. They're looking for something to help me with sleep, with sex, with focus, with energy, with relaxation, with overall mental happiness. No other company can deliver on that consistent effect that consumers want. And we can do that because we utilize other plant medicines in addition to our cannabis to deliver that effect. And the last thing I'll mention, Sarah, is how important CBD is. Each and every one of our products is a combination of THC and CBD. Our chill is 25 milligrams of CBD with 5 milligrams of THC, because that's the way we believe nature intended cannabis to be consumed, in an appropriate ratio of THC and CBD. And that, frankly, emerged from my own personal experience, where when I consumed cannabis, which was, largely THC only, it would make me feel paranoid. And it's that combination of the THC and CBD which delivers a much better quality cannabis experience. And then when you pair it with the other plant medicines that we utilize, it actually gives you a distinct effect in terms of sleep, sex, energy, relaxation, focus, so on and so forth.
That's fantastic. And then last question, and then we'll wrap it up. Do you have any exciting new product launches on the horizon, or any new developments that you're coming out with that you could share with us? If not, it's okay, but let us know what's going on.
Well, first and foremost, we are an innovations company. No other company in cannabis has innovated as much as we have. We have 6 different blockbuster experiences that deliver what consumers want. We have it available in 3 different types of chocolate formats: chocolate-covered coffee beans, our peanut butter cups, and our chocolate gems. And we've got our full line of our drops. We never stop innovating here at 1906. And I'll give you a little peek about some, we've got 3, say, major initiatives from an innovations perspective that we're working on. One is for sleep. So as I mentioned, sleep is of epidemic proportions here in this country. If there's one thing you can do to improve public health broadly, it's to give everybody an extra hour of sleep. Now, our Midnight product is one of the best products to help you fall asleep. There is a segment of the population that has trouble staying asleep. And so we're very excited to be working on an extended release version of Midnight, specifically for that group of people who it's about staying asleep through the night. And we think this is going to be a blockbuster product because you'll be able to stay asleep through the night and wake up feeling refreshed. So that's currently in testing right now, our extended release version of Midnight. Second, we're working on some products specifically focused around women's health. And then third, we're working on a product for pain. And that emerged, because people have been asking for something that helps them with pain. And frankly, at the beginning of COVID, personal story, I went through for about 2.5 months of excruciating pain, where I tried everything to get relief, whether it be cannabis or muscle relaxants or epidurals, and that really showed me how much people suffer from chronic pain, how difficult it is to navigate the vast array of not just products, but therapies for pain. So we've got our science team working around the clock on developing some exciting pain formulations as well.
That's amazing. And, the world needs these products. So thank you so much, Peter. And thank you to the 1906 team. We really enjoyed working with you, hearing from you, getting the tour, and just you being open and answering all these questions. I know we didn't get to everyone's questions, but we'll send them to Peter and hopefully he'll provide some insight on those. And then we can post them in the LinkedIn lounge as well. But thank you again, Peter. We really appreciate it. And then I just have a couple more things to touch upon. A poll is going to pop up shortly. And once again, we would appreciate your input as we always strive to continue to offer the best programming experience. And additionally, if you enjoyed today's virtual tour, please make sure to check out our next one on Thursday, July 30th, where we will visit with Dark Heart Industries and go inside their nurseries. And additionally, the Arcview Group has also recently launched 2 membership levels, the Discovery membership and the Women's Investor Network, WIN membership. And this really allows individuals to start to experience all that the Arcview ecosystem has to offer. And that includes networking, education, and just overall information. So we'd love to have you all be a part of Arcview. If you're interested in that, please reach out to sales@arcviewgroup.com. And additionally, if you're on this and you're an investor member of Arcview, please make sure to check out our upcoming Arcview Access Elite webinar next Wednesday, July 22nd, where 3 companies will take the virtual stage to pitch. And if you aren't a member yet, but are an accredited investor, once again, if you're interested in becoming an Arcview member, reach out to sales@arcviewgroup.com. And also alternating with the investor webinars, we also have bi-weekly public webinars, with the next one scheduled for Wednesday, July 22nd, with the topic of vaping and extraction technology. Thank you again for tuning in and for being a part of Arcview, and we will see you next time. All right, bye everyone.
And thanks to all the Arcview members. I just want to, we're here today. I'm sitting in this chair today because of Arcview. Arcview was one of the first groups that I pitched and one of the first places where we raised capital. So thank you and Lewis and all the Arcview members for believing in 1906, for helping us throughout the last 5 years in terms of capital raise. And I'm so grateful to be a part of this network and to be relying upon Arcview and its members for helping us fund our growth.
I love that. Thank you, Peter. We're happy to have you be a part of Arcview. All right. Bye, everyone.